Welcome to Real Talk with Chris, the podcast where we dive into the entrepreneurial mindset through the lens of real estate. We are uncovering the secrets to building success and creating wealth on your own terms. Whether you're just getting started or aiming to scale, this is the place where ambition meets opportunity. Get ready for real talk and real results. Let's get after it. Welcome, everybody. Real Talk with Chris. Excited to be back on this podcast. Man, it has been probably a few weeks I've actually shot a podcast. I've been really busy, knee-deep into creating this amazing Super Bowl event out here in Hawaii called Build 25. And I've been a little bit preoccupied, but I'm back at it. So those that have been listening faithfully, I appreciate you. For any newcomers, this is an amazing opportunity to plug into real conversations with real people with real issues in life that we talk about. And yes, my business is oriented around real estate. Obviously, that's my cornerstone. So most people that come on here are in that space. But nonetheless, anybody that's entrepreneurial, forward-thinking, and pretty much a badass is who I'm going to actually interview here. So today's guest meets all of that criteria. He was just out here actually in Hawaii. So proud. I'm saying I'm blessed to meet this individual through, honestly, EXP, who has brought a lot of us all together and now created some amazing connections. Tsai, I met him at one of the events. I don't even know if it was a build event, John, or it was an EXP con. I don't know where we met first, but this guy's energy, as soon as you meet him, it's so magnetic. It just makes you want to pulse, and you can't walk away from like, holy shit, who is this guy? And you want to be in his corner. So welcome to the stage, all the way actually from Canada. What do you guys say there? Hey, yeah. Or what's your guys' tagline over there? Not your bet.
A or A, whatever you like to call it. On the West Coast, we don't actually say it that much. In the East Coast, it's all about the A or the buddy, you know.
A. Yeah, out here in Hawaii, it's in it. Yo, bro, yeah. How's it?
This is what I got this time, and somebody told me to let loose and just let it hang.
Let it hang. And you know what? We didn't get the Chihu down. I know we're going to do the Chihu. We didn't get to the Chihu. Should have done it here at the event, so we missed that. Next time you come out, we're going to do the Chihu.
Next time.
But anyways, welcome to the stage, all the way from Canada, the amazing man, the myth, the legend himself, Tsai. John, welcome to the podcast. We're so excited to have you. We're blessed. You're just giving so much of your time. I know you're super busy. Real quick, shout out to yourself out here. Kind of give a glimpse and a little picture to all those that are listening. Who you are, kind of share your intro.
Well, first, you already gave me an amazing introduction, so thank you. And your brand is, and your reputation is basically how people talk about you when you're not there. So thank you for talking about me as such. So myself, been in real estate now since 2006, and struggled my way through. Really stepped into the potholes, been in debt, $80,000. Failed over and over and over again. And, in my 10th year in real estate, I was able to earn $1 million selling 149 homes in 1 year as a solo agent. So I've done it all. I've sold 2 homes in a year, and then I've sold 149 homes in a year as a solo agent. Now I'm leading a team of 65 agents, and I have an organization globally at EXP Realty of 1,350 agents, and truly blessed to be just sharing my journey and helping other agents avoid the potholes, if you will, or basically setting the right expectation of what the real estate sales industry is all about. And that's what I do today is I come on these podcasts and I try to inspire agents to take action, to get them out of the breakdown into the breakthrough. And, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, first and foremost, for last week and on this platform here where I can help to influence people out there, whether or not you're a real estate agent, to do better. So thank you.
Yes, I love it. And he's got a tagline. We all call him the Beast because he goes on stage, and John has this, again, high level energy that literally makes you refuse. If you're in the audience, he almost refuses you not to show up in your highest level of form while you're in your seats. That's good though, John. That's why John said he wants to inspire, right? And he does that because on stage, he's there and he pours into you, and his energy is so like over the top, but it's in a good way. For those that want to accept it, again, right? We always know those people. Some people attend events, they sit there kind of all frumpy. They put their arms crossed and they act all like, this is horrible. My wife or my husband made me come here, right? But John has this way of penetrating through that to make you feel the things you need to feel. Because I like your story. Let's go back with that, because I think the key to, they say stories sell. All stories sell. So let's go back a little bit. I know you gave us a kind of a Cliff Note version, but I want to unpackage this thing here, because everybody hears like, oh, 149 houses. Oh, yeah. And by the way, this guy started president of EXP Canada. When Canada launched for EXP, he was the co-founding president there. He started it. He launched it, of course, because he's the main leader. But let's all go back to the beginning where we talk about, you crawl before you walk. I want to hear about John Tsai, the kid who graduated high school. John Tsai, the kid that, where did you get started from, John? Where does this inert desire to want to pour into people, to inspire people, to be a man like of leadership, the light? Where did John begin?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share this. Growing up, my dad he was a businessman, and he did quite well for himself, the youngest in the family. And, I would say, made it into multimillionaire from nothing, right? And, self-made. And I was the youngest out of four kids for him. And for me to be the youngest, my brothers were 13 and 12 years older. My sister is 10 years older. And so growing up, I was always like the golden child. My dad would always brag that he had me when he was 45 years old, and I'm 45 today.
Yeah, wow.
It's kind of an amazing full circle moment for me. But he always had very high expectations for the boys in the family. And when we grew up, because dad was so successful in his own way, he made it himself that he would always try to motivate us, but motivate us in a way that's almost reverse psychology, saying, what Asians do. You're up to no good. You're going to be useless when you grow up. And, you're not going to do anything based on your habits right now. You're no good. You're going to be useless. And he told that to all three of us boys. My sister didn't get any of that, but so we grew up with that overbearing fatherly figure. And in my adolescent years, I didn't like the guy. I was like, why is he always harping on me, right? And coming here in 1991 from Taiwan to here was a big transition for myself as well. He had retired from his business. He sold a medical apparatus. We were well off. And we had drivers back in Taiwan. And when we got here, unfortunate turn for our business, for his business, where someone from his team basically copied all of his products and sold it for like half the price. And he had no patents on it. So immediately the business went downhill, and eventually it folded in early 2000s. So then I went from us being like super abundant, super rich, and I didn't have to do anything with my life, to, okay, well, we're going to live off of whatever we have. There's no new money anymore. And coupling that with growing up in a strange place where I'm Asian, I don't speak the language, and people bullying me. So my dad, my peers, people older than me, and me being in a new country, all taught me a lot of valuable lessons, which is like, are you going to stand up when you get knocked down, or are you going to stay down and buy into who they say you are, which is you're no good, you're useless, you're never going to be enough? So then I bought into it for a little while, all the way up to, my university days. I was like, oh man, my dad says I'm useless, and the people who bullied me back in the day, like, you're a chink, this, I heard that back in the early 90s. They still use that. And I said, maybe I'm no good. Even when I was 21, Chris, there's this fortune teller. He looked at my palm. He said, wow, okay, you're not gonna amount to anything. And it's okay though, because you got a good inheritance from your dad. So you won't do anything with your life, but You're going to be taken care of, and you won't even try. I said, well, okay. And I bought into it. But I said, there's something in me that I was like, hell no, man. Hell no. So there was this struggle internally where my inner thoughts were overtaken by the external thoughts that people gave me. But I wanted a way out. And in 2002, I met this one guy in Taiwan at the gym. I was on vacation. He was 42 years old. I'm 22. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Don't you have to work? He said, no, I'm retired. He's a Caucasian man in Taiwan. I'm like, so what do you do? He said, I taught English here, and I started my own school, and then I sold it. After I sold it, I bought real estate, and the real estate residual income pays for my lifestyle. I'm here working out. I don't really have to work. I was like, wow, I don't want to be just like you. And he said, well, you can. I'm like, well, what would you suggest me do? He said, go read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So from that point on, his name was Will. From that point on, the trajectory of my life just completely changed with one book. I got the book. That was the first book I ever read cover to cover. And again, that was a journey. Like, I got that book, I read it, and then I was still buying into my own stories about I'm not enough, I'm no good, I'm Chinese, I can never do anything in the Western society. And then, bit by bit, book after book. And then I saw this infomercial on TV with Tony Robbins. He's like, you can do it. Get the Edge is the program where you need to, expand your life. So I bought it. So program after program, I finally decided to get into real estate because I wanted to get into real estate to get out of real estate, get into working really hard to get out of working really hard, to buy real estate where it funds my lifestyle. So in 2006, I finally signed up. Just this internal struggle over and over and over again. And then I ran into this book. My first year in real estate, I ran into this book called The Secret. And then it was the movie The Secret. I finally got it. I'm like, from 2002 to 2006, all those books that I read, all those programs that I've done is based on this thing called the law of attraction. And I really studied it, and I really started to program my mind in the right way. And then I met my mentor, my first mentor, real mentor, Mike Ferry, in real estate. He told me that, you have to get real. There's a law of attraction, and there's a law of action. Without the law of action, the law of attraction doesn't work. So I combined everything. I worked hard, and then I affirmed the positive thoughts in my mind. And so there, the trajectory went like this instead of, like this, right? But I still sold 2 houses my first year. And then, after meeting Mike, it was a trajectory upwards like this. So mentoring and just finding that guy. Will was my first mentor. He didn't even know it.
Yeah.
But he changed my life. So I would say two ways I would say find your will is find your will as your mentor. Find your will as in your why. So I still have this chip on my shoulder where I'm like, okay, if I get knocked down, I'm going to think back to when my dad said I'm no good.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to think back to all the people who bullied me. I said, you're never going to make anything of yourself. So in the back of my mind, that's always driving me. That's the internal accountability and internal motivation. And that's what you see today is someone who's gone through that and, still working through it, to be honest. And I'm 45 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the journey right there. I don't know if I went on too long, but I hope that helps relate to some of the audience here.
Absolutely. Here's the funny part. I'm going to say this. There's so many similarities you and I actually have and align with. Not just because we're both Asian, by the way. All my friends will tell you I'm like the whitest Asian you'll ever meet. I'm Caucasian. Anyways, no, just your similar stories and everything. I think here's the kicker. When people get into real estate and they think the key to being successful is having some other variables in your life. But in all reality, to be super successful and sustainable, you have to have grit and power and relentlessness, pursuit, consistency, all the qualities that you just basically talked about, but you had to build those. You didn't actually go just somewhere, plug in and have all these things built into you. In fact, I think life stories and journeys in life is what makes the person or obviously breaks the person. Because if we go back to your story real quick, every instance that you were at with your dad talking about you kind of thing, is my dad was the same way. I think your dad, though, out of love, was trying to help inspire you and saying things like that. That was his only way of version to it. But Asians have a very interesting way of actually articulating to their children. They're not really loving like other people. They're kind of abrasive. And that's all they know. But yeah, I think in it, your dad was trying to express love and wanted to shape and mold you and to actually help elevate you. But and a lot of times it does, right? If you tell somebody you can't, then they do the opposite. You'll find out very quickly who you are. You find out quickly who you're dealing with, right? If you actually do that to somebody, they will either fall to their knees, like you said, and they'll be succumb to all that like tearing down, or they'll go completely polar opposite and say, screw you, that's not who I am, and there's something inside me that's better, and I know it. Let's go for it. Even though I'm hearing all this external shit, internally, I know I'm worth a little bit more. So thank God you were that person who internally you knew there was something, because you even had a freaking fortune teller, which I'd go back to that fortune teller and fire them, because that fortune teller lady was full of shit. Like, look where I'm at now, sucker. I mean, that's nothing, whatever. It'll debunk the whole theory. Honestly, I'm sorry if you guys are into fortune telling, but yeah, it'll debunk that whole theory. But no, in all reality, so there's a lot of that I think really inspires people, because yes, everybody right now is in a space of their life where they're going through a life that you just went through. They're going through someone externally or even themselves internally destroying themselves, cutting themselves down at the knees, making themselves feel inadequate, the low self-esteem, the low self-worth. I am. And I love what you brought a point that you said in your 40s and you're still doing it. Yes, John, I'm in my 50s and I still do it. So I know people in their 60s that are still doing it. I don't think there's ever a timeline, ever a point in your life that you're like, hey, I'm good. God, I think I finally have cured everything. I'm done. Shit. No, that doesn't exist. This is because I think as you continue to grow and evolve, then a whole nother set of issues come in that really trigger some of your old insecurities or things. I think that's always in you. I'm that person. I have to fight every morning and wake up to prove to myself that I am worthy. Right? You the same boat. Like we have to show up every morning and be that beast, right? I got to be the beast first, as you are doing the same thing yourself. You're being that beast first. Yeah. And then you're able to like really showcase that and share it with your audience and people you care and love about, because these are real true experiences. Not stuff you're just like, you're not an infomercial. You're the real fucking deal.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's why I like your story, because I like everything, and your will. I like that. I believe also they say that saying the student's ready. The teacher shows up when the student is ready, right? The teacher will appear when the student is ready. Will was your teacher, and you at that point were at a point where you were like, I'm open to whatever, like God, Lord, whoever, like universe. I'm ready to be different. I'm ready for something. Please have someone show up. And that was Will. My guy was actually Frank. So I got a guy too. His name was Frank. So very similar stories. I have a Frank. You have a Will. And it's just the law of attraction. I love that. It's the key is reading. Every book you started with Robert Kiyosaki, all the way to the next series of books that led you down this journey. That's not led you down this path for where you are now. So for those that are listening to the audience, if you are struggling in life right now, there's no magic cure. Sorry to burst your bubble there. You can't go buy it online for $19.95. You're going to have to put some work into it and really unpackage your life, because your life is what's holding you back right now. Plain and simple. If you're not reaching your goals, if you're not getting what you want in life, it is you. It's you, your life. So I love all these people that jump around, for example, to all these different brokerages, thinking that it's the brokerage that really is not making them successful. And it's not. I'm sorry. It's you. You suck as a realtor here. You're going to suck as a realtor over there. In this guy. Sorry. Keeping it real.
Point the finger at somebody.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I always say you kind of should turn that thing around and point it right back at you, or look in the mirror and point at yourself, because
when you're pointing, like this, I mean, 3 fingers pointing right back at you.
Exactly.
Right.
So you have this innate desire to be better. I love that. And what do you think fueled that? Was it anger? Mine was. I'll say mine was. Because my dad was not a good father at all. And same things that you went through of being diminished and felt inadequately and never told you were good enough or you would amount to anything. My drive was pure anger. Like I
Mm,
was angry because of that. Obviously, I was hurt as a child too. I was hurt,
yeah,
but I was
yeah.
angry. So was yours anger, or was yours more filled with like I just know I'm better? So let's.
It was 100% anger.
Yeah.
I was a very angry kid growing up,
Oh.
and I would all the bad emotions. I would exercise those. Jealousy when I was in relationships.
Ooh.
Guilt. I would try to guilt trip people out of no reason, and I would try to put people down, even my own friends, because I wanted to feel better than everybody else. And I was a very cocky kid. When I found something that was really good, I was good at basketball. So then I would put other people down. So all those negative things that I would do to people was to make myself feel better because I didn't feel like I was enough. So I had to constantly. So I was so angry with everybody, angry at the world. And as I grew up, I matured, but majority of the time, I'm still fueled by anger. Now, anger can get you to a certain point where if you really want to expand, you have to focus on abundance.
Mhm.
You really have to focus on the energy that attracts all the good things that you want to you. So I had to constantly work on myself. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I still have that anger energy, and it works sometimes.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I have to focus on an abundant mindset where I'm here at this in this position right now. I'm focused on contribution, and contribution and growth is what really drives everything. If I focus on helping others, the more I achieve my goals. That's what I'm about right now. So that drives me. And then anger sometimes drives. So you have to like flip it on and off sometimes. Sometimes you need that anger to go beast mode,
Yeah.
right? To be a savage. And sometimes you just need to pull back and say, you know what? I'm going to let it happen. And then I'm going to go out and help as many people as possible because, the more people you can help achieve their goals, eventually your goals are manifested. That's what Jim Rohn said in another way,
Totally.
right? So, and I want to say this. I always tell this story is that my dad, at 77, he got sick really fast, and he got old really fast. It was like of a switch, and all of a sudden, he had to go in for quadruple bypass surgery, and I didn't even know he had 7 stents in his heart. But this is a moment where really it was another pivotal moment in my life where I didn't even he kind of casually said it, but he held my hand and he looked into my eyes and he did say in Chinese he said 蔡家交给你了, which means the Tsai family is yours. Okay. So remember, I have two older brothers and one older sister. I'm like, why me? Why me? I was like, you're kidding and this and that. And then he passes away at 3 o'clock in the morning that morning. I was 10 o'clock that time when he told me that. But I took that as handing off the torch to the next generation. And I take that as an honor that my dad finally, he didn't say, I'm proud of you, but he gave me the baton. He said, the Tsai family is yours. So that right there will drive me for life.
Yeah.
There's not a day where I don't wake up and think about my dad. That's how powerful that is. And I take it in stride. So sometimes it's thinking about my dad. Sometimes it's thinking about the anger of whoever did me wrong. And majority of the time, I'm thinking about contribution and how to help. And that's why we go and speak and we go come on these podcasts to contribute to others, to help inspire them to let them know that, hey, you can do it too. And honestly, if you're in a bad place right now, we've all been through it. I want to share. So then, here I am on the other side. I don't always have good days, but I know how to navigate through those bad days to come back in a good space. So I hope that helps.
Oh, of course. I think again, everything is designed around. Everybody thinks there's this magic potion, like I can go get lose fat in 5 minutes, right? If I take a pill. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere. Any kind of progress and things in life that we want to change, enhance, or make better requires lots of effort, time, energy put into it, and changing the way you look at things, changing your mindset. And that does not happen overnight either. It's a progress, but you have to, like you said, you have to put the work in too. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. You got activity, right? You got to put the activities in, and then the other attraction parts are going to happen if you don't do the activities. But you're right. I like how you've been able to master kind of all the elements. The key to life is self-mastery, right? In anything, it's self-mastery. Like, how do we self-master any particular one thing? That's when you get great at it. And you are now learning to become a master at understanding your different behaviors, mastering your different personalities. I mean, it's not like you're crazy, but I'm saying your different personalities that may show up at different times, your different energies that connect with those times. But you know when to use it. When it's almost like you're a superhero, and you know when to put the cape on, and you know when to like pull the power and the strength on, and you know when to be normal. Like, I always compare it to the Incredible Hulk. You remember the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
Incredible was Brian Bannister, right? Bannister was the guy that walked around and was a normal dude on the street. But when he got angry, he turned into the green Incredible Hulk and rah, right? And he just was like 50 times more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Controlled again, though. He can never control that. That was the whole series. Though. You can never control that. It came out in spurts. You're understanding how to learn to control that. You know how powerful that is? You're controlling when the Hulk comes out. But the Hulk needs to come out once in a while because the Hulk needs to move some buildings. The Beast needs to show up. But there's times and a place. It's all controlled environments, controlled situations, controlled energy. You know, and that is amazing, John.
Beautifully said, man. Thank you.
I'm trying to figure that out myself. Still, like, okay, there's times when the Hulk shows up with Aquaman and the freaking Wonder Woman, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, yeah, and the Forrest Gump, like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I'm like trying to figure out, okay, I'm still in that mastery trying to figure out, all right, when does the Hulk need to come out? Oh, no, not yet. Stay there. We're not ready for him yet, right? So that's another lesson I think that everybody's listening here. You really got to control. I think everybody looks at that kind of stuff as it's bad. Like, I got to go through therapy and learn to get rid of that dark person. But in all reality, there's nothing wrong with the dark person and some of its traits it will enable you and help you grow to reach some of the things you need to be at. It's actually necessary. You can learn to control that energy. So I would say for you, again, you're getting that place where you learn to control. You're a person of contribution. You're a person of giving and love and selfless. But the beast does show up when necessary. And I'm going to go back to your dad, your story. When your dad handed you the baton, John, your dad always knew you were the guy who was going to have the baton, by the way. He knew you were the guy always. He wasn't going to have your siblings. He knew it was you. You were the golden child. Like, you were the golden, which is why your dad was probably the hardest on you, which is probably why he was so demanding of you and so wanting more because he knew more in you than you saw in yourself.
Wow.
True.
Thank
you. He knew that you were the one that he was going to entrust this to at some point. It wasn't going to be your siblings. He's like, no, John's the one that has the gene. John's the one that knows that if I pound him to the ground, he knows how to get back up. I don't know your siblings, but I don't know if they would ever get back. I don't know. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But then he knew you would. So I think that's why your dad was kind of hard on you the whole entire time, honestly. So I think be grateful for that. Be grateful that your dad was hard on you and kind of ridiculed you because then you made you who you are today.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Wow.
But sure, I think you've just learned to control that. I love that story. So again, this is a great thing for people. As you're building, this story is so relatable to everybody that's listening to this podcast because everybody is going through something in their life that they've encountered in as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, now as a full-grown adult, and maybe have not addressed any of this at all. And yet they're struggling in so many areas of their life, maybe their marriage, their intimacy, their spirituality, their financial well-being, their business, their ability to be productive in business, and just like, God, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. Here we are. This is it. This is the magic button, by the way, everybody. This is the magic button. What John's talking about right now is the key to rebuilding, and he just literally laid out his entire life to you. And I can tell you, anybody here, you actually came from another country, and you didn't speak English. You didn't know the ways of the Western behaviors. You were an outcast. You were treated as such. And you also dealt with it in front of your family. So, yeah, I would say you had everything going against you, John, and you still managed to do it. So the reason why I'm saying that is, yes, I'm honored and respect that. But also the same token, man, if you're all listening to this and you are born and raised and live here in America, and you start off with all the opportunities, and yet you're still not taking advantage of it, there's something to be thought about there. You got to go back. What would you encourage people to do if they're at this stage in their life or listen to this podcast right now and they're like, holy shit, everything John's saying is really what I've gone through my life and where I'm at currently. What would be something that they could start doing that would be like a bite-sized, digestible, like, do this right now and start the one step at a time, right? To climb yourself out of this hole. What would be the one step somebody can start with? You would encourage them to do?
Take action and keep taking action. You got to do it and do it and do it and do it, because these podcasts are great. Going to seminars are great. Going to Build is great. Going to EXPCon is great. Going to see Mike Ferry is great. But if you don't come back home and actually implement some of the stuff that you wrote down in your notes, it doesn't even matter. You're just feeling good going to seminars. You're just feeling good, listening to this podcast. After this podcast, if I can say anything to you, is like, take action towards something that you really want. All of us have anxiety. All of us feel a little bit depressed sometimes. It's because we're not doing something towards the goals that we want, or a problem that exists in your life, and you keep in the state of inaction. You'll feel a lot better about yourself if you just take massive action every single day. And after you actually done your job every single day, at the end of every single day, pat yourself on the back. Because after an honest day's work, you're like, wow, I took a lot of actions. I may not have results yet, but I felt good about this. I felt good about what John said I took massive action today. I went out there and I talked to 30 people about real estate. Even though I didn't get any appointments, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And then the day after, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again for as long as it takes. I'm going to concentrate and focus until I start building momentum. Right? And that's how momentum starts to happen for you. But it doesn't happen without concentrated effort and massive action. So go out there and do it and do it and do it and do it until you get what you want. And that's basically my journey.
It totally is. It totally is. And I think the bigger part is, would you agree with me? And because again, you and I pretty much align in a lot of our life stories. But you get to a point in your life, and maybe this was true with you, but you get to the point in your life where you're just tired of being tired of being tired of being tired of being the same, like, broken record, same story, same situation, and then you finally get your ass up and do something. Would you agree? Was that something in your situation where, like, you're just like, okay, I see this again, I see this again, I see this again, I'm here again, right here again. Oh my God, I'm here again, I'm here again. Damn it, I'm here again. It's time to make some action. Was it pivotal for you at that point? Was that kind of a transition? How it worked?
Yeah, relating back to my journey, was 2008 was another pivotal moment where, I was $80,000 in debt, and I couldn't sell a home for 6 months. And those 6 months taught me a valuable lesson, is that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being right here, right now, $80,000 in debt with nothing. And I had to really dig deep and say, who am I? Who am I? And what am I going to do about my situation here? It got to a point where February 2009, I hadn't sold a home for about 5 months. And I'm like, you know what? I'm $80,000 in debt. I can't go back to get a job because I'm this deep in debt. I'm going to keep with it, and I'm going to see it through. And that's the decision that I made, that I was going to become a beast. I was like, wow, another 2 sellers just walked away from me. The buyer just collapsed the deal, and my existing sellers won't reduce the price. And you know what I said to myself that time? I said, bring it on. Bring it on, man. Bring it on. And sure enough, I put my blinders on, and I just kept going. I made my first sale in March 2009, and the rest is history. Obviously, the market, I wrote it out where the market started to pick up again. I did 33 deals for the rest of that year, and I never looked back. And from then on, I said, you know what? I'm never going to feel like that again. I'm never going to feel like I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired again. I'm going to take massive action all the time. I'm going to rest when I need to, right? And I'm going to come back. I'm going to keep beast moding this thing.
I love that. So the truth is, again, those who are listening, there was no magic potion here. John just said I was freaking fed up. How many of you out there listening are fed up? Being honest, I want you right now, where you're sitting and listening, if you're in your car, whatever you're doing, I want you to raise your hand right now and look in the mirror. If you can, you have the ability to do so and say, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with being in the same freaking situation I've been in for 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever. If you're fed up, then you're going to do what John said. You're going to go out there and take massive freaking action. And you're going to do whatever. And again, maybe it's massive action on one thing. Just one thing. It's not like a variety of things. And you could become overwhelmed and you won't do any of it. Find one thing, right, John? Just one thing. And I think, what would you say, like a good activator that you do? One thing, like, all right, get up and, I don't know, what, do something different outside of your ordinary. Like, maybe it's get up earlier. I don't know. Like,
Well, it was so simple for me, Chris. It was just talking to people. Talk to people, and you'll make sales. It's a mathematical equation. Talk to people, go on appointments, taking listings, and making sales. A plus B equals C. Talk to people, go on appointments, make sales. If you keep it as simple as that, everything that you do in real estate is talking to people. Whether you're talking to people on IG, DMing them, whether you are talking on Facebook Messenger, whether you are calling people, whether you're door knocking, whether you're at a restaurant handing out a business card to the waitress or to the boss there, saying, "Hi, my name is John from eXp Realty. I sell real estate here in Waikiki, and I'd be happy to be your real estate resource." That's a contact. It's just talking to people. And if you can keep it as simple as talking to people, because our audience is obviously real estate salespeople, keep it simple. Don't do a million things. Just do one thing. Talk to more people. And mine were really simple. Expired listings for sale by owners, calling around other people's listings when I didn't have a listing, and then calling my friends and family. That is so simple, but people don't want to do this because it's, oh, you know what? Social media, AI. If you don't master the art of knowing how to talk to people, never mind AI, never mind social media. When you have a lead coming through social media, when you have AI calling for you and then they want to talk to a real person, you don't know how to convert, it doesn't matter.
100%. I think that's going to be the demise, honestly. Again, AI probably listening, not against it, not opposed. I was listening, not opposed.
Chris,
But
you're kind of breaking up a bit, your audio.
oh, see how about now? Better?
I had to turn my volume up, way up to hear you.
Is it better now or is it worse?
After you muted one time, it started to become very quiet.
I think I'm back at it now again. Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. The mute button sometimes. My bad. Technical difficulties. Yeah. So I think the reality is that we just got to keep doing what we're doing and keep moving forward. I want to transition a little bit now. We got the last few minutes here. I want to talk about now, all this point, you've been doing real estate business. When did you get into EXP?
Yeah. So as again, 149 homes in 2016, made $1 million. I was like, I made it, right? But then I had totally ruined my relationships. You know, I lost my dad during that time, 2013. I barely saw him, maybe 15 minutes a week if I ever went home. And then my wife hated me because we were basically roommates, right? You don't want to be in that kind of situation. So I said, you know, I got to make a change. And the only way was to build a brokerage, right? Because I wanted multiple streams of income. And Remax was going to give me that. And they said to me, you know what? You're going to get three things very clearly: equity, revenue share, and KV core, right? And we're going to give you all the resources, but it's going to cost you $500,000 to buy a franchise. Ooh. And you have to get brick and mortar and you have to hire staff. I said, okay, well, if that's the only way for me to earn residual income and multiple streams of income, I'm in. Mm-hmm. And then same time, EXP opened in British Columbia in my province. And they came to me and they said, we're going to give you three things very clearly: equity, revenue share, you can become an owner, earn residual income, and KV core at no extra cost. And your startup fee is not $500,000. It's $199 Canadian.
Boom.
And then I didn't believe in myself that I could do it, but I believed the people that were already succeeding at a high level. I interviewed Brent Gove, Cliff Freeman, Steve Merritt, Gene Frederick, Rob Flick, and Chris Bear. And my last interview was with Cliff Freeman. And he said to me, John, let me ask you a question. If you were to come to EXP and none of this works, couldn't you go back to Remax? Because we don't tie you down to a multi-year contract. I said, you know what? That's true. Let me just give it a shot. Right. But let me think about it, because I'm very analytical, a little doubtful of myself. Remember that I'm not enough. I can't do it. I'm useless. All came back into my head. When you're making a big change, those voices come. And I said, Cliff, how much are you making in residual income last month from this revenue share program? He said $55,000. I was like, what? That could pay off all my business and personal expenses. But you know what? I know you can do it because you're a coach, you're an influencer, you've been in real estate 25 years. And I said, I don't know if I could do it. Let me get back to you. My wife heard the whole conversation in the back seat. I was on speaker driving on a freeway. And she said, you need to get involved now with EXP. We never see you. Right? So literally that night, Chris, I said, you know what? Happy wife, happy life, like a good husband. I signed the dotted line and never looked back. And what a journey. And, our residual income right now from revenue share well covers all of our personal and business expenses. And, to have that is not only financial freedom, it's time freedom, it's location freedom. It's the ability to have peace of mind, and the ability and the time to see my mom whenever I want to, because she would call me and I would say, Mom, I'm busy. Guess what? I'm selling real estate. Listing properties and selling buyers. Click. Now my wife sees me all the time. She's almost sick and tired of my face. So this is my schedule before. I used to go out by 6:30 in the morning after my gym and my morning routine and everything. And I would get home by 11 o'clock at night.
Oh.
She would be asleep when I go out, asleep when I come home.
Wow.
Now I work 4 days a week because of what EXP has to give me.
Wow.
So if you're listening out there right now, the audience, the platform works. It's the most sustainable, profitable, independent company in the world that's agent-centric. You can become an owner. You can earn residual income. You can have peace of mind, time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom. And Chris and I are here to help you manifest that for yourself and your family. What a sales pitch. But
I know, right? Yeah, I'm just a salesman. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's true. I mean, and this is real life stories, though. Again, everybody, here's the thing I think is really interesting, though, John. All the things you just said, time, freedom, ability to do all this stuff, leverage. People don't really see it. Like you got to go back and you talked about, you're like, oh, I don't know if I self-doubted myself to even think I could do this thing at EXP. Thank God you have an amazing wife, by the way, that told you to do this, right? I think everybody needs an amazing wife or a husband. I call it a jackass friend. Everybody's a jackass friend in your life. Like the jackass, like you're freaking doing that shit. And then you're going to thank me later. It's the jackass friend, but we're not calling, but the point is having that person that inspires you, pushes you, forces you to do something that you didn't think you had it in you, but they know you do.
Yeah.
And I think as realtors, to think about all the things you just mentioned off, time, freedom. I mean, I think every human being on this planet wants how to stop trading time for money. That is universal. Everybody wants to win the lottery. There's not one human on this planet that does not want to win the lottery. They all would love a winning ticket. So for those, I feel like in life, though, where they feel like the lottery ticket is something that's way out of their reach, they're never going to ever win a lottery. It's like 1 billion to 1. I'm never going to be that guy. And they never even want to play. The choice is, I think, and now with this opportunity with us, we're sharing this, like all this time, freedom, financial wealth, the residual, the legacy, the generation stuff you're building. They're like, that's like the winning lottery ticket that they just don't think ever can exist in their life. And so they just go back to like, well, I'm just going to sit here on this treadmill with my little blinders on, and I'm going to sell a shitload of real estate. That's it until you're like 75 and 80. You're like, I'm freaking dying, and like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I love that you brought those up, because you are actually true living experience where you are a high producing person, but on the other end of the stick, you had zero life. That's how it works. There's no such thing as work-life balance, people. It doesn't exist. When you're charging a dream and you're building a life, the balance does not exist. So you had all that in front of you, but you had a whole lot to lose. Your wife, your mom, your time, your health. And then you wanted to find reasons that would be better. And you're about to jump into, like they say, from the frying pan to the oven, because the frying pan was your business. The oven was Remax. I'm going to say it again. The oven was Remax. and you're going to burn yourself up for $500,000. I'd have done it for you for free, bro. You could have came to me. I'd have burned you up for free. $500,000. That's like that's $500,000 that you're going to burn in a baking oven from the frying pan for $500,000. That's like taking yourself to the graveyard. And so thank God your dad was looking out for you, because the heavens opened up. The universe said, no, John, we got a better option for you. And Cliff was right. What do you got to lose? That was my scenario too. In 2016, before Brent hit me up, I was about to open up my own brokerage again for the second time. And it was going to cost me $250,000 to get it going. And I was like, all right, let's hold off. Let's pause. I'm going to take this to some serious thought. And I'm like, I'm going to pray to God. God, if this is what you want me to do, so be it. Let's rock and roll this. I'll do it again. But if not, I need a sign. I need a really big freaking sign. I don't need a small, like, subtle sign. I want, like, flashing lights in the sky saying, no, go this direction, open this door. And it was. 2 days later, it was Brent Gove. Oh. Literally, Brent called me 2 days later, 48 hours later, called me on the phone, and he was the moment he had packed his stuff up and left Keller Williams overnight on a Sunday evening at, like, midnight. He packed his whole stuff on the truck, and he moved out. And he calls me like the next day. He's, Chris, I got to tell you, I left KW. I was like, whoa, wait a second. You left Keller Williams? He says, yeah, I left Keller Williams. Like, all right. Well, that was huge. I'm curious. You got my curiosity, because nobody just does that at a high level. And so I had to hear him out. But, you know, like you, I think you're the same person. We're always open to hearing. I'll listen to anybody. I'll listen to anybody anytime. You have something, show me. I want to hear it. If it's better, cool. If it makes sense, all right. Yeah. But if it doesn't, I'm going to tell you to your face, it doesn't make sense either. To like, no, dude, it doesn't cut the cloth here. So, but Brent did. So yeah, that was my big sign. And it was like, at the time, it was $99. It was $99. Cool. For $99, I get the same thing: freedom, leverage, equity, ownership, stock. I can get all this stuff, and scalability. My two favorite words were leverage and scale. If I can do those two things at a high level, here we go. And you have this cloud-based environment. They're like, wow, all I needed was internet, Wi-Fi, and I could scale this. We can go anywhere in the world. I would be stuck in my brick and mortar right there in Roseville with an office front that was costing me a shitload of money every month and a headache and a liability, which you're about to do too. So yes, thank you for sharing that, because I think proof is in the pudding. And for those who are thinking it like, whoa, God, maybe I should go open my own brokerage right now. Yeah, maybe you should go hang yourself too. That's probably wrong to say. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's so rude. My bad. That's too real. That does not sit well. I apologize for all this. Okay, we're not talking about that. But the point is, maybe you should go open a Blockbuster too, right? Maybe you should go open a Blockbuster and start getting VHS videotapes stacked back on the rack, if that's what you're thinking. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, all those are listening. I think it's amazing. John, your story is compelling. It's heartfelt. It's real and authentic. And I just like listening to it because, again, there's so many bits of your story that I'm like, holy crap, that just lines up with my life. And to see where you're at, we're all successful in our own spaces and our own levels and our own places, but you inspire me too. Like, my goal is to empower, elevate, and inspire people too. That's my thing. I want to empower, elevate, and inspire people. I want to be a kingmaker. Every time I pour my leadership into someone, they raise to the next level. That's my goal, and that's yours too. I see it. So I appreciate and love you for that, brother. Like, I really do, and not just because we're Asian brothers, but we got to stick together sometimes. But no, the fact that you're at EXP and you're doing things at such a high level and impacting so many people's lives. And you came out here, people are still ranting and raving out here about you, John Tsai, the guy, the beast was awesome. The beast, you were so inspiring to people out here, and you touch people's lives, and that's what it's about. So whatever you're doing on a very high level, you're doing it well. So thank you for sharing your time with me today and sharing your story. And I hope all those listening out there can take a piece of whatever John's life is and whatever it was, and realize that there's hope for you. If you want to kick in and finally do something with your life, like, no one's going to help you. You're on this journey on your own. I'm sorry. If that's what you're looking for, you got to do this yourself. You got to pull up your own britches. You got to get up and do it yourself. And John did it. And he's proven himself now very successful. And now he's plugged in to the fastest growing independent brokerage in the world, eXp Realty, right? We are now here changing lives. And if you don't know, now you know. I'm going to say that right now. If you don't know, now you know. Because that's what it is, right? Like, as they say, Jay Kenner said, Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman. I am the business man.
That's
We're
right.
all the business. So get with the business, be the business, and be about it. John, blessings. Love you, brother, from all the way from Hawaii to Canada. Thank you again for coming out. I appreciate you and sharing your story. It's amazing. Love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Love you. See you guys soon. Aloha.